Hey, welcome to my channel where I talk about my dolls, and that's literally it. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing my 3 most expensive American Girl dolls, but most expensive as in I bought them on the secondary market, so I paid more than retail. So that means I'm going to exclude the CYO dolls and any limited edition dolls that I have because those are expensive no matter what you do. And these actually weren't as expensive as my limited edition dolls, but there was a time that they were more than I thought I would ever spend on an American Girl doll. And I'm going to go in order. I'm going to share them in the order in which I bought them, which means the first doll I'm going to share over here is going to be the longest story that I have to tell. But I promise the other two, even though there is a bit of a story, it won't be as long as this. But I want to give like the unabridged version of the story that I have shared on here, kind of in bits and pieces. But now I'm going to like start at the beginning of her story because it's longer than I explained. Anyway, it's Truly Me 4, which is probably obvious if to anybody who's seen my videos. And when she was, I'm going to talk about prices a lot in the video too. When she was first, she showed up on Facebook Marketplace last winter, so the winter of 2023. And I had been looking into getting this doll because she's a unique sculpt and she's just really, really cute. And it was one of those dolls that I was really regretful that they were not bringing back for some reason. So I had started looking on eBay and kind of tracking how much she was going for. And I was like, oh, this doll is really expensive. So I might have to buy her as like a Christmas present for myself to justify the price. And then she showed up on, like I said, Facebook Marketplace in a location that's about 25 kilometers each way. I think about, what's that, about 50 miles, I think is what it is. And when she first showed up, her price, the listing price was 600, I wrote down prices, 640 Canadian, which is 475 USD. And I'll show you she did end up coming, it was a bundle, so I'll show you in a minute the other stuff she came with. I would just pack them up to make it easier to share them, to start out the video. But even with all the stuff she came with, I was like, I'm not going to spend that much money on this doll. I wasn't at that place in my life yet, in my collecting life, American Girl wise. So I was like, I'll try to wait until the seller, because it was the only American Girl doll he had on his entire marketplace, which I thought was kind of strange. I was just like, why does he have this one random doll? So I was like, I'm going to give it a while, give it a few months, even if it takes that long, for it to come down to about half price, because that's what I wanted to pay. And I don't even think it was a full month later that he literally dropped the price in half. So then it went down to 320 Canadian, which is about 237 USD. So I was like, oh, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to spend and was willing to spend on what I was waiting for. So I reached out to the seller and we made this arrangement. I was going to drive there, obviously. And like I said, winter, Canadian winter, really cold. And we agreed to meet at, I think it was 8:30 at night on a weeknight, by the way. And I took out the cash because he wanted cash. Sent a picture of the cash. Here's the money, count it up so we don't have to like do this awkward thing where you're just standing there sifting through the money in person, which obviously you would do anyway. And so I drove there, like I said, the 25 kilometers, about 50 miles. And I messaged him at the time that I was there. And I said, okay, it's a little bit after 8:30 and you're not here yet. And I hope you don't take too long because it's so cold that I couldn't even sit in my car without it running. So I ended up running into a grocery store that would close at 9 o'clock. So, I just walked around waiting for this message for him to respond. And then I went back to the car and I think I waited for another 15 minutes. So this is like 45 minutes later than the time we had arranged. So I ended up, there was nowhere to go now. All the stores were closed and I was in my freezing car. So I just messaged him and I said, I don't know what your intention was here, but it's too cold. I've got to go back home and, peace. So I drove back and like I said, that long distance and I had no doll to show for it. So I was so mad. And when I got back, I don't remember what message I sent him. And I left a bad review on his marketplace. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. And I think it was about maybe 10 or 11 o'clock. So hours after we were supposed to meet, he messaged me saying, apologizing. He got stuck at work. His phone died. Who has a dead phone nowadays when you're planning to meet somebody? That I was just like, this is weird. This must have been some kind of scam. I didn't know what kind of scam. I was like, was he trying to like round up some people knowing I was coming with this cash. I couldn't understand what would be the scam here because, there were pictures of the actual doll and the stuff that it came with. I will get to in a minute. I keep forgetting that I promised that a while ago. So he was like, I'm really, really sorry. If you're willing to give me another chance, I'll drop $20 off. So now the price was 300 Canadian or $223 USD. And again, with the bundle, it was a really, really, really good price. Even though I didn't really want the stuff in the bundle, but I really wanted the doll. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll think about it. And then, me thinking about it is like, I want that doll. And how do I like convince myself that it's okay and I'm not a fool for going back? $20, that's probably less than I paid in gas going back and forth both times. So that's what I was using to rationalize going back. And then he gave me the address. It was a couple days later. Still cold, still winter. And when I pulled up to the address, I was like, this is a storage facility. This is so weird. What am I doing at a storage facility? So when I pulled up to the storage facility, there was this car with two people sitting in it. And they were just like staring at me. And I was like, is that him? Is he in the car with like his wife or something? Because it was a man and a woman. And I was so confused. And I messaged him. I'm like, I think I'm here. He's like, yeah, you got to come around the back. And I was like, I got to come around the back. It's got to get even sketchier than this. So I was like, do I really want the doll this bad? Am I even going to get the doll? I do, so it's fine. But so I pulled around to the back of the storage facility, and I was just, I don't know, there was this, I don't know, obviously it wasn't my intuition, because my intuition would have turned me back a long time ago. It was just this like defense mechanism that I reached into my glove box, my glove compartment, and I keep a box cutter in there for when I travel to America to pick up packages, and I'll open the packages, whatever, like the shipping packages. So I have that in my car all the time. So I was like, you know what? I hope this doesn't come to violence, and I don't condone violence, but I do, I did want to protect myself and be cautious. And it's like, I wouldn't use it unless I had to. So it's fine that I carried it in with me because I was really sketched out at this point. And so I walked, he peeks out because it was like a storage facility, meaning like you can't get in unless you have a key to get inside the actual facility. And he, peeked his head out and he was like, Blaine, you're here for the doll? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, come on in. And he was just like, small, polite man. His profile picture was just like two kids. I'm assuming his kids. So it's not like I had anything to go by, like what he would look like or anything like that. So I walked inside and he had like this, there was a storage facility that was open. He was like sorting through all the stuff. And then he was explaining to me, he was like, here's your doll in the box with all the stuff that was piled on top of her in the box. And he, apologizing again and then telling me all about his little side gig of like Storage Wars kind of thing, where I guess he bids on these storage facilities or containers, whatever you call them, and then he tries to sell these things on Facebook, and that's why he probably looked up the wildest prices for Truly Me 4 and was like, payday, jackpot, whatever. And so we were talking a little bit about the doll, and he was like, oh, it was from an adult collector. That's why she's in such good condition, and she is in such good condition. And then he just kept going on and on about his storage stuff, and I was like, it's just a storage facility. It's really cold in here. Like, it's not much warmer than in my car if I'd waited in my car that, like when I did a couple days ago. So I was just like trying to be polite and trying to smile and like, okay, I see my doll. I want to get home and open my doll and like settle in and be like, I have her. Everything's fine. So, but I must have been there. It could have been a half hour, 45 minutes. I don't know. Time loses all meaning when you're like really want to get out of a situation. So whenever I ended up leaving, as I was on my way out, he said, oh, by the way, what do you do for a living? Or what's your job? And I was really confused about the question. And I was just like, I'm in a marketing company. He wouldn't have known the name, so I didn't say the name. He was like, oh, that explains it. And I was like, what does it explain? And he said that when he stood me up the first time, I left him this really scathing message. And so it explained why I'm so good with my words or whatever. And probably the review I left too. And I was just like, that has nothing to do with my job. That's because you came between me and my doll. Which is why I brought that box cutter with me, because all I was thinking was, nobody better come between me and this doll. I've already been through enough. So that's where like the instinct came in of just like, make sure you walk out of here with the doll this time. So that's that's pretty much the whole story about how I came to have the doll and why I went through such a weird experience, because I had already set it in my head that I wanted her. But also, she did come with a lot of really cool things. For one thing, I like that her ears were pierced already when I got her. And she had her full meat outfit. And what she didn't have, because this is from the time when they came with that gem or something. They came with some kind of jewel, I think, or a charm. And pamphlet was in here, but not the actual charm. You can see her number 4, but I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. I wouldn't have done anything with the charm anyway. But she also came with the doll earrings that you get when you, I'm assuming when you get your doll pierced in the store, because I'm assuming she was bought in Boston because she came with this American Girl store Boston shirt. So I'm like, I have to keep this. It's all part of her story, whatever her history is, whoever these adult collectors who kept her in such good shape, I have to keep everything with her now. And so I've never gotten a doll pierced in stores. So I'm maybe one day, a long time ago. Now they come with just like 2 pairs, and maybe they used to come with the 3 pairs with the danglers. And she had 3 of the pairs, the studs that go in, but only 1 set of the danglers, the hoops, which are my favorite of the dangling part of the earring, I would say. And she also came with these ballet flats. You see, it's like if I had had a channel at the time I got her, this would have been a lot better to go through, because it's like so much stuff came with it that now it's like I'm telling an old story and trying to remember it. And so they're just like, I've used these and they're very cute, and they're definitely something that I was like, oh, that's good. I can use those. And she came with a couple outfits. Oh, first I'll show you. She came with an American Girl brush, which I'll never use it. I've never used it. But just having the American Girl brush is kind of novel. So I like that, and I would never buy it. And then she came with Rebecca's school outfit or uniform? Rebecca's school outfit. It's not in the box, though, because my Truly Me 58 is wearing it. So if you're just wondering what the outfit is, this is what she was actually wearing. This with the tights and these purple or the burgundy ballet flats. It was like such an ugly outfit. I don't know who put it together. It must have been that man. No offense to him, but I just don't feel like he would know how to dress a doll. You know what I mean? And she came with this other outfit, which, what's it called? Is there a name on it? No, it's some like pink hearts dress, I think it's called. Oh, it's just called heart dress. I see the label now. And I've also never used the dress. I tried it on her when I got her home. So the dress is cute. It's fine. I mean, I don't need it. I wouldn't have gotten it. And it comes with these flats that have leather bows that had deteriorated, but it doesn't bother me. Like, it's just, again, one of those things where it's like, it's part of her story, so I'm fine to keep it. It also came with a necklace that my Truly Me 129 is wearing, the newest version of the cotton candy doll. So that cotton candy hair doll. And that was what was inside this little package here, I believe. 1 outfit plus 1 charm. So maybe that was in there. Anyway, the necklace was in it, but maybe the person I bought it from didn't know. And the deteriorated parts of the ribbon are all over the box. Ooh, and the more I touch them, the more they fall apart. So yeah, in the end, it was like a cool find because she came with all these extra pieces. Whether I was looking for them or not, at least she came with them, and I've made use, to an extent out of them. And it is just novel to have all these parts and the story that goes along with her. And it's like, to this day, my partner doesn't know the story because he wasn't home. I think he was staying because he was planning a trip to India. So he was like, trying to see some of his friends before he left. So I was like, oh, now's my chance to like go do this stupid thing because he would be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? These dolls are not worth your life. And so it's like, now I've told the entire story. And the last time I showed my Truly Me 4, I'll just quickly say, her name is Choi Hung. I named her after my best friend's mom, and I say that probably every time I show this doll. But, because my best friend is Chinese, because of her, I know that number 4 is a unlucky number in Chinese culture. So it's very funny that the Chinese doll, I'm assuming, I consider her Chinese because she was always, when they did the Chinese New Year outfit with her. So that's why I kind of see her as Chinese, even though, you don't have to make her Chinese specifically. But I do think it's funny that their Chinese coded doll, the doll they use to be Chinese, is number 4. She could have been literally any other number. There's only one doll who's number 4, and it's their Chinese doll. So bizarre. So now the longest story is out of the way. The other 2 should be kind of smooth. And the second doll is a doll hospital doll. So this box reveals nothing. But this was sold locally. Somebody I had bought from many times before, and somebody I had quite a few American Girl conversations with, because she's like a longtime collector, and she has sold some really cool items that I've bought from her. And, let me get the suspense out of the way, and then I'll go back to telling the story. It's Ivy. And the thing about Ivy is I had I already had a pretty extensive Julie collection. And the one thing I didn't do was make her a best friend because she already had a best friend. So instead I made her a rival character, you know, just leaving it open that one day I might come across an Ivy who appeals to me and is the right price and the right condition. And this doll could not have been in better condition because the person selling it had sent her to the hospital. And in the listing, she said she didn't know where they got the head from. And because, you know, the doll head isn't available, I was so worried, even though, like I said, she's in the Canadian, like within my Toronto, my city where I live, you know, she's known, people know her, she sells a lot, she collects a lot. So even though like I trusted her, it was just one of those things. It's like, it's too good to be true. This like pretty much brand new Ivy doll, considering she came out of the doll hospital. And it was also kind of novel that I keep saying the word novel. It's like a word I never say, and I've said it like 100 times in this video. Sorry, I'll try not to say it again. What was really cool about it was that she came in the hospital gown, and she was complete with her outfit, her meat outfit and meat accessories. And I don't think I'll ever send a doll to the hospital unless I can find a really like beaten up cheap number 4, because I saw somebody posting a number 4 on Instagram who had come back from the hospital, and she looked so cute. She looked so different because, as you know, for the last like, I don't know, 10 years at least, American Girl has been enlarging all the doll eyes. So it's like a truly me, but with bigger eyes. What did I do? So if I, like, that's the only time I would ever send a doll to a hospital or myself, but I don't even know if she would be available. So anyway, I felt like this was the only way I was ever going to get a hospital doll at all. So it was cute that she came with, you know, with the hospital gown on and with the certificate, is that what they call it? Certificate of good health, the card, and her little bracelet and her socks. So now it's like I have these pieces. Do I need to show them closer up? It's like I have these pieces in my collection now, which is a fun little thing. And even though I don't use it, I'll never like display it. It's just knowing that it's in the box, which I'll also keep as part of Ivy's story, is also a lot of fun. Just the novelty of having it. That's like a get well card. I don't know if I said that already. And I also did like an unboxing. I did a Julie, back in April, I did a Julie fashion show with all the pieces I have from Julie's collection, because I have quite a bit. And then I opened her at the end. And I actually kept her in the box for about 2 weeks after I bought it, because that's what I use as an excuse to oh, I didn't even tell you the price. Oops. So she was, you know, so she was pretty much new in my eyes. So she was 320 Canadian, which is about $237 USD. And I thought, you know, if she ever gets re-released with her like a complete with the meat accessories and everything like that, she'll probably be about 150 plus tax. And so it wasn't that far off from what I would get if she ever does get re-released, even though I don't really see it happening. But it was just one of those things where in the moment I was like, I don't know if the re-release had happened yet, or if I had heard the whispers about the historical re-release. So I was like, maybe it's possible. There are all these rumors about Ivy. There have been rumors about her coming back for a while. And I was like, you know what? I don't mind. I want her now. That's one of the diseases of being a collector, is wanting it now. And it was just like the perfect opportunity. And some things I didn't know about American Girl, never mind Ivy, before I got her, was that she has the dark brown decal eyes, which is what Samantha and Claudie have. Meaning, I just always wondered why Claudie had such a different sparkle, unique look to her eyes. And I was like, there's something about Claudie. She's just so special. It's because she has these eyes. And I didn't know that until, it's like, because the thing about her showing up, I was like, she's too good to be true. So, and again, this has nothing to do with the seller, because like I said, I know the seller, but it was just like one of those things where I was like, is she a custom? How did they do this? How did she appear? And I was like looking into everything that I could about Ivy, because even though I liked her before, I'm not like an encyclopedia, Wikipedia for American Girl. So that's why I was like, oh, she has decal brown eyes, and it said like Samantha and Claudie. I was like, oh, Claudie has that. And sorry, I'm jumping all over the place because I'm showing like some of my favorite dolls. I mean, they would have to be if I spent that much on them. Another funny thing I learned when I got her was that her earrings, because she, like I said, came with all the meat accessories, her earrings, originally when her earrings, and I believe it was Marie Grace, the earrings they came with, this material was staining the doll's ears. I don't know if I'm getting close enough, and the focus is funny on my camera. It only focuses on me. And So what they started doing was putting this like plastic ring inside the earring hole. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it from there. I hope so. But you can see it's like hard plastic, and it's just this like protective layer around her ear. And when I opened her, I was like, "What is this?" Because it looks kind of funky. Like I don't like how it looks. But then you put the earring on, and it actually gives it a nice feeling when you put the earring on her. So I appreciate that about it. And another thing I learned from people in the comments when I was dressing her in that video is her pants tend to stain. So she has a pair of white tights underneath. And now whenever I show her, I feel like I should say that because people are kind enough to try to warn me. And it's like, oh, maybe I should make the warning in the video itself. So yeah, anytime, because she came from the hospital, I'd hate to have to send her back, even though I believe American Girl would cover it because it's their own clothes. And I think that might be all I need to say about Ivy. Yes. If anything comes back to me, I'll just jump in. Because now I'm moving on to the very last doll, who was a doll I had almost given up on because I had tried 2 times before to buy her. You know, I what do you call it? Made an offer. It was agreed upon, and then the last minute, either somebody came in and took it. Either they changed their mind, or somebody came in and offered something better. And I was like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Because the same way, this is Cécile, by the way. I don't know why I'm talking like this. So this is Cécile, and ooh, too much glare. I'm trying to get her. Anyway, so it was the same thing where I was trying to, back last winter, justify buying her for myself because she was an expensive doll. I was looking at prices, and then it, like I said, the deals fell through. So then my birthday this year rolled around, so that would be May, and well, not locally, it was the drive there. I went past the place where I bought this doll from, so it was even farther, and I was like, oh, trauma. I hope that's not a bad sign that I get there, because I was paying with cash, and I had looked at the doll, and this is going to be the silliest part of the story. Anyway, so she was complete. Bought her for my birthday. She was my most expensive of the secondary dolls, $380, which is about $282 USD. And, I looked at the pictures online, but because I was buying it for my birthday, I didn't want to see the doll in person. My big thing was, as long as I don't see her eyes, like if the box is down, like if I keep it laid down, then I won't see her eyes, and then that'll be how I surprise myself on my birthday. And so when I walked up, the lady who was selling her, new in box, she still had all these things on, like all of her cardboard and all of her like hairnet and all that kind of stuff. So, it looked like she had never been opened before, but I gotta say her limbs are pretty loose. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying the person displayed her and then reboxed her. I'm just saying you never know when you're buying these dolls because they can easily be reconnected back to the box and everything. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, she's regardless to her loose legs, she's still in beautiful condition. And so the silly thing was, I walked up, even though I'd already been through the drama with her, I walked up. It was on her porch, and she was just like, "Oh, do you want to open her and look at her?" And like I said, I wanted to be surprised by her beauty when I opened her properly for my birthday. And so I was like, she's got the book, she's complete. And she's like, yeah. And she was about to open it. I'm like, no, it's okay. And I literally took the doll, walked to my car, threw her in the trunk without looking at her. When I got home, so like, what would that have been? Almost an hour later because of the long drive. I put her inside a bag that would be big enough to conceal her, and did not look at her for, I think it would have been about 2 or 3 weeks until my birthday. And at the time I felt okay doing that because I always trusted people, and I have since then been what I called catfished. So now I'm more careful and I would never do that again. But she is in excellent condition. And as you can see, I was complaining about her legs a second ago, but she stands no problem. She just feels a little bit looser than other dolls when I open them new. But she's still old, even if she has never been displayed or opened or anything. But I haven't not bought enough old dolls that were left, not sealed, but like left, what do you call it? Were never removed from the box. There you go. So I just don't have anything to compare her to. And I'm, again, saying that because I've now been cheated isn't the right word, but I've been tricked. So it's like you just never know. And regardless, and that she's another one who's been rumored to come back, and people keep saying she may or may not. And even if she does, I'm okay with the fact that I bought this one for, like I said, 282 USD, because it is the old Sonali mold. And I think she would be the second wave of the Cécile doll, because she doesn't have those sausage curls. She has ringlets that are a little bit more like Claudie's, if you can tell the difference. But her wig's not like Claudie's because it's got a little bit more red and brown in it. It's not as dark, like as black as Claudie's is. So I'm fine that, because I would probably, maybe, if they re-released her with the new Sonali mold, I might want her. And I know this is not related to this video, but if no one else has noticed that it's a Sonali mold, that's what made me trigger me to think of it. The Truly Me 112 is currently all sales are final on the American Girl website, so I don't know if they're phasing her out, but she's the only doll who is all sales final. So I don't know what that means, if they're gonna just get rid of her. But she's cute, so get her while you can if you were interested. This might be your last chance. But there's no limited stock. I'm just talking about that because I'm talking about this. So yeah, like I was saying, if they do re-release her and she gets the new Sonali mold, I might want her anyway, because there might be enough variation, enough difference. And I love both versions of the mold, but I really do like the extra definition in the new Sonali mold face. I think I said that right. So I even at the time buying her, knowing she was more expensive, I knew going into it that I was fine if, that could happen. Same with Ivy. And I mean, Truly Me 4, the only thing I have to say about her is I recently discovered, or I don't know if discovered is the right word, but I really put two and two together, that I prefer the Mattel doll because of the bangs. I like these bangs better than the pie bangs. I think they just look cuter on her. But it only occurred to me recently that the Pleasant Company Truly Me 4 would of course have the soft squishy vinyl, which I love. So now I'm like, maybe one day I'll look for a Pleasant Company Truly Me 4. She's not top of my list at all. I'm not top of my mind, but because I'm talking about her, she sits on my window. She's one of my have to look at her at all times kind of doll. So I don't know. I guess I do think about it sometimes. So there's that. And it seems like it's the only way we're going to get other Truly Me 4s, or this sculpt, or mold, I should say, is by getting other versions and either sending them to the doll hospital for the newer version, if they have it, or looking for the Pleasant Company version with the pie bangs. And the reason I wanted to talk about my most expensive dolls is because, it's that time of year where the limited edition dolls are coming out. And I just got two of the ones you can see behind me, the Frozen dolls, they're now $310. I didn't pay, I don't know what the Canadian conversion is. It's probably going to be about $450, because I paid for my Barbie doll, the limited edition Barbie doll that's coming out in November. I paid for her on my credit card, and the credit card statement said $450. So these dolls here, the most expensive one, $380. It's still not even as expensive as, the limited edition at retail. So there are also, as far as we know, two limited edition dolls coming out next week. And even though I don't want both of them, I do want two of them, if that makes sense. And so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to add to my expensive doll list, but the retail market one. And I think also the other expensive dolls would be the CYOs, as I already mentioned, because they're like, what are they now? 220? I think they're $220. But I do try to use USD that I have in my PayPal. Like if I'm ever selling my old dolls, if something's coming out that I know I want, I'll generally sell off, because I have closets of dolls that I just don't collect anymore. And I think that's why I hold on to them, because it's like, oh, there's this limited edition doll coming out. I better start selling off dolls so that I can have USD funds in my PayPal and just pay like that, because you don't really feel it. Because I'm sure when I'm talking about these dolls all the time, people must be like, this guy has a lot of dolls. What does he do for a living? Like that guy asked me when I bought her, but not for the same reason. And it is just because I've collected for a long time that dolls become currency, because not so much American Girl, but a lot of dolls that I've collected appreciate in value. And I have many dolls, even if they didn't appreciate in value, I still get the money back. So that's kind of where the collection feeds itself. But yeah, I do spend my own money too, especially if it's when I'm using, like when I was buying an Indigo, it was usually with my own money, and if I'm buying locally, it's usually like, I still have a job, right? So I still do make money. And I think that's all I wanted to say about these expensive dolls, because, you know, a lot of us collectors, this is our passion, and we do invest a lot of our money into it, and it is actually an investment for the most part. It's like, part of the way I justify it is by saying, well, when I buy a new pair of shoes, when I'm done with them, I can't sell them off. I have to throw them in the garbage. And so it just makes it easier. Like if I'm buying a pair of doll shoes, I could buy them and resell them later on when I'm done with them. So it's just like, it's that funny mentality you get stuck in when you're a doll collector or a toy collector, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, thanks to everyone who listened for a little bit longer than I thought it would go. Not that it's a problem. I'm just saying it's a little bit longer. So thank you to anyone who tuned in, and I will see you soon in the next one.